Hey, this is Matthew fucking Justice, and you're listening to Wrestling Cheers.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when you're absolutely intense. This is Wrestling Cheers. We like to talk about things going on in the Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is a review for last Friday's AIW show, the traditional Black Friday show, Hell on Earth 15. I am your host. I am Justin Summers, and Wrestling Cheers is brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and Midwest Territory. Please rate, review, and subscribe to ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose, desire WrestlingCheers@gmail.com, and we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Like I said, this is a review episode for last Friday's Hell on Earth 15, and this week we got Charly.
What's going on, man?
How's it going for you? How'd the weekend treat you?
It was nice and relaxing. Two wrestling shows, and then a nice spaghetti dinner on Sunday. It was nice.
And we also have returning Pam.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Hell on Earth 15. Great fucking show, but let's talk about this venue. We talked a little bit before we started officially recording, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on this podcast of what you thought about it. Me, I love how big that venue is. If this is a once-a-year thing, if this is the official Black Friday location for AIW shows because of everything at the Odeon, I'm 100% fine with that. I love that venue. There was a lot of room for fans, and it seemed like that was the most I had ever seen in AIW. I think that is the biggest or the most tickets they've ever sold on a show, if I'm correct. Maybe beating out Gargano. I'd have to get that from John Thorne, but that's something they'll probably talk about on that podcast whenever they get to that point. But I loved it. There was a lot of stuff for Matt to jump off of, but he didn't. Spoiler alert. And there was still like a lot of room for the merch tables and plenty of room for that long ass Kevin Nash line. What were your thoughts on the venue and everything, Charly?
Like you said, there's a lot of space for everything. Free parking is always a plus. It's a little bit further than the Odeon for me, but I definitely liked what they could do with that venue as far as, the space, there being things to jump off of, how they had the concession set up. There were multiple bathrooms, so not everybody was trying to cram into one set of them. There were police there, but, they didn't really get in anybody's way. Or show up when they were actually needed. So, it was a good time. Overall, it's a good experience. I definitely wouldn't mind going back there.
How'd you feel about it all, Pam?
I thought the place was great. I even commented on AIW's Twitter earlier. Like, it was incredibly packed there. Like, we all know that. We were all there. And I didn't have an anxiety attack like I probably would have anywhere else. So that was pretty great. Big parking lot. I liked that it was free, like Charly said. But I thought the venue was great in general. I hope that there are more shows there in 2020, at least one. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I'd love to go back. It made for an epic show.
One thing I'd like to see more at AIW shows, and it would have to be something along like this scale of this type of, where we have this much room, is outside vendors. that's something we don't get a lot of, and mainly because like in the merch area, I mean, it's pretty much enough for the wrestlers and that's it. And sometimes, you know, wrestlers are trying to make room for themselves, but this one, like, they even like tried to sell off, like, hey, we have additional room for merch tables if anybody wants to buy one. And, you know, friend of the show, Michael Porter, he did. He sold some stuff, and I sat there and thought about it. Like, I've gone to like some other shows, and sometimes it's really cool when you have people like selling like a bunch of figures and magazines. Like, granted, we get that a little bit with what we have left from like the Biggins collection, but it's cool when we have somebody like new. Like, we have Too Sweet Toys, which probably would have been great there, and a bunch of other like companies too. But little random thought that I just had, but I love that venue. Like I said, if it's a once a year thing, I'm fine with that. Yeah, the free parking, I love a good free parking. On top of free parking in a parking lot, because like
Right.
Akron's like that. Odeon, it's at a parking lot, but you have to pay for it if you want to get like one across from the venue, and like behind it, I've never parked there. But then you get like then you get the Winchester, where it's like, yeah, the parking's free. Go find it. It's on the road.
I literally park in the same spot every single time for every Winchester show. Like, I just go to that street and I'm guaranteed that my fucking space is going to be there. Like, I don't even bother anymore.
I've had to go down at least couple streets, and like the two that are closest, like beside that venue, like it's just lined with cars on every single like opening that you would normally be able to park. But sometimes you'll find some spots on the road, but it is difficult. And that's one thing I do, I get aggravated by, because like, yeah, it's free, but fuck, I'd rather pay for the parking and then have the dude staring at me trying to tell me how to back my car up in the parking spot. And I'm like, don't worry, I can do this, trust me. So besides myself, because I did it, I take it neither of you did the Kevin Nash meet and greet.
No. But I'm considering doing the Scott Hall meet and greet when that comes up in February.
The Scott Hall one will be a good one. I've already met him, so like I'm kind of good on that. I don't know if I'd want to do it again, but I can see when having it in Akron, like that'll bring a different crowd, like people who probably maybe even they saw the flyer for that show. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. Was it Keep the Change? No. Anyway, it was at some Christmas show, and yeah, they probably didn't want to come to Cleveland, but now it's going to be in February. So yeah, I could see people from the Akron area going there, and even the Canton area. So that actually might be, and especially too, if you didn't get a chance to come to that show like yourself.
Yeah, that was, I really regretted, and I was really hoping he'd come back and they'd set that up again. So when I heard that, I'm like, all right, that's definitely set in stone for me. I will be doing that meet and greet. It's one of the few that I'm interested in doing. So
I think my whole thing, like if I would have wanted to do him again, it had to be with Nash. It had to be the Outsiders. But getting them spread up, like, okay, I got my Kevin Nash, got that photo, got that autograph. Now, when Scott Hall comes, unless I manage to get my hands on a Razor Ramon Hasbro, like mint on card, which can't be too cheap, I'll probably skip on that. How about you, Pam? Did you get a picture with Kevin Nash? I don't think you did you?
I did not. I'm a little broke these days, but if I did, I was trying to get my my Mom's Magic Mike DVD, and I completely forgot all about it when I was there for Thanksgiving. So whenever like I got there and I saw Amanda, I was like, shit, I could have got that and I forgot it. So that would have been the only reason why I would have done it if I had done it.
Amanda, she was contemplating it before we left, and I was like, well, she's been to Comic-Con, so she knows kind of what that's like. And I'm like, they're going to have 8x10s like they do at Comic-Con. So, like, if you want an autograph, like, you can get one off one of those. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'd rather do that. And I'm like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. And then I was going to get a 8x10 just signed, which I halfway wish I did. But Pedro was selling the retro figures $20 a pop, which I'm like, motherfucker. But I'm like, I really want this one, and I want to get it signed. So I'm like, fine, like, here's my money. So yeah, that was my experience with Kevin Nash, and I got to, I don't know, thank him for the memories and everything. I always like to do that with some older wrestlers like that I meet, and for him, I'm just like, yeah, loved you as Diesel, and now I'm a truck driver. So there's that.
Right.
So we have a lot to get into on this card. We had 10 matches that were announced, but then we had 2 completely unannounced pre-show matches. So I don't know how much time some of these matches are going to get. Some might get a lot, some might get next to none. But let's start with the first pre-show match, as I'm trying to get my results back up. I scrolled back down too far. Anyway, we started off with Calvin Tankman versus Levi Everett versus Johnny Patch versus Braden Lee. This was, if I'm correct, 3 out of the 4's debut in AIW. Calvin Tankman has had at least 1 or 2 matches in AIW. One was a last-minute fill-in, so it's cool to see him back. I love seeing Levi Everett. Pam, you told us before we started recording that you kind of missed a lot of the pre-show stuff, right?
Yes, unfortunately I did, because I've been looking forward to seeing Levi Everett, because I hadn't seen him in person yet. I just heard about him on the tweets and stuff, and then seen him like kind of at shows just like there, you know. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of bummed because Calvin was in that match, and I freaking love Calvin Tankman, and I'm very upset that I missed it.
Charlie, what were your thoughts on this match?
For being a surprise that we were going to get this match, it was decent. There's a couple hiccups here and there, but I think it was just I would probably say nerves for one of them. He's so quick, but I think that just kind of threw some of the stuff off in the match. But it was really great. I really, really, really want Levi Everett to be back as often as possible. Tankman's awesome. I just give me everybody. I liked everybody in that match, and then I really enjoyed what they did the next night at UXWA as well. Like, a few of them were in a scramble as well, and it was probably my favorite match of the weekend. So
that match on UXWA was Calvin Tankman versus Levi Everett versus Braden Lee. So those members of this match, minus Johnny Patch, but plus Trey Lamar and Adam Slade. That's Adam Slade's, I think, debut in Cleveland. I'm a huge fan of the Lost Boys, huge fan of IFHY, which was also on that UXWA show. So when that comes out, if you get a chance, go check that out. Pam, I've been told you know somebody on commentary on that show.
Yes, I do.
For those who don't know.
Actually, I know both of them, but...
Well, we all know both of them.
It's my boyfriend, but...
Yeah. One is none other than Stacy. I missed the whole second half of that show, so that's something I might end up revisiting. The first half I thoroughly enjoyed. And actually, if everything works out for me, like in 2020... I wouldn't mind starting to go into UXWA more. It's just going to depend on how it falls against other shows and like personal stuff. So if I can go, I want to go because it's a nice alternative. It's not as long drawn out show, and it's some of the same people, but a little different at the same time.
Right.
So it was Calvin Tankman winning via the screwdriver. Going back to with that, Levi Everett is somebody I want to see be a regular in AIW because I don't think he got the reaction he deserved. He got it the next night on UXWA. So maybe if they bring him back next month, or they bring him back, he comes back, let's say at the Akron show next year, the first one in February, maybe like that would be the big pop that he deserves, and I think so many AIW faithful are going to fall in love with Levi, so that's like my final 2 cents on it.
He sells birdhouses.
Everything about it is so great. Like I was having a conversation with Jonah from Pod Van Dam, and we were just discussing like different stuff. Like since he produces and I'm producing my podcast, we talk back and forth about stuff, and he just stops in the middle of the conversation. He's like, "Wait, is he actually selling birdhouses?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's part of the thing." And he's like, "That's amazing." He's like, "I wonder if you could actually take photos with them or not." So great. And then like I guess Mance Warner had convinced some people that like that's his buddy, that he drives him around and stuff like that. And oh, it's so good. Like, just the stories for him already is amazing. So
yeah, when I very first saw him at an AIW show, I didn't know he was a wrestler, and I was like, what the fuck is there an Amish guy doing at this show? And somebody was like, oh no, he wrestles. And I was like, oh, okay, because I had never seen him before. So I was like pissing myself at first because I thought there was really an Amish person just like hanging out watching the raffles, you know? Like Rumspringa, right?
Who the fuck cosplays as Roadkill and comes to a fucking wrestling show?
I mean, I would consider it. That'd be a fun Halloween gag.
Well, let me see. I have suspenders. I have the pants. I have a button up. All I need is a hat. I kind of got the beard. Maybe shave it a little bit, but
oh dear Lord Jesus!
I could pull it off.
Justin's next gimmick coming right up.
I'm gonna go with Levi's extended family.
That's cousin Levi.
What? I would say, what would your name be, brother? What?
I don't know if I'd go with the last name Jebediah or Yoder.
I mean, kind of gotta go Yoder.
But I don't know. Jebediah could be the first name, because I don't know if Jebediah's Jebediah Yoder.
Jebediah Yoder. Brother Jeb.
No, cousin. We're cousins. We're not, because he's from Indiana. I'm from Ohio. There's a little bit of a difference. So that's my cousin.
There you go.
Took a photo of you churning his butter.
Hey, sometimes cousins have to help each other out with chores. That is nothing that we shun in our community. Levi.
Oh, shit.
Levi.
I'm just saying, you handled it like you've been there before, man. It's perfect for your gimmick.
Levi Everett probably came there on a horse and buggy. And speaking of horse, we had next up the Young Studs versus Bulking Season. This was a match that I was a little bit occupied during. I think I did walk away for a little bit, so I didn't really see too much of it, but I love the Young Studs. Young Studs is the one of the measuring sticks of tag teams in AIW. Kind of comes between them and To Infinity and Beyond. But then you have Bulking Season. I fucking love those two, and the more I see of them, the better. Charlie, what were your thoughts on this match?
So I missed the first half of it. I was getting my friends into the building because they were buying tickets off me that I had previously purchased since I'd upgraded my seat to ringside.
Nice.
Yeah, well, which I actually have to thank you, Pam, because you retweeted that, and I talked to the guy, and we got that all squared away. So thanks for that, because that made the night better. I came back, and I was like, oh, awesome. The Young Studs are in a match. Bulking Season. This should be good. It was fun. I mean, your basic tag match. The tag division is so stacked in AIW right now. These guys are just, working their way through the ranks. So it's good stuff.
It was the Young Studs winning via Tiger Bomb. Nothing much else to say about that, but we have a lot more show to talk about, so we will move on. We'll actually move into the actual Hell on Earth 15 card, and we started off with 40 Acres versus Aeroform and Wheeler Yuta / Cuda.
I was gonna say Wheeler Cuda.
This was a fun start for the actual show, and I really love 40 Acres. Like, I think Aeroform, if they're going to be used in AIW, whether it's a tag team or split up, it's going to be helping with a lot of the younger wrestlers out. So getting a chance to see all three members of 40 Acres in one match, and like that's kind of also in the tag division, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in 2020. What are your thoughts on this match, Pam?
I think it was a really great match. I love all three of the guys on 40 Acres, so being able to see them together, like, since it's just been two here and there recently, seeing all three of them together was really great. they put on a hell of a show, and I love that we got to see AJ do that leg drop.
What were your thoughts on everything, Charlie?
When 40 Acres first debuted, I absolutely hated them, which I think was the intended reaction.
Calm down, Cornette.
But once I kind of like got into what they've been doing and everything like that, and then seeing them outside of stuff they've done in 40 Acres, like Trey Lamar and AJ Gray are like two of my favorite people to watch now. And PB has always been so impressive. I mean, when I really first started getting back in AIW, he had just become the champion, so the absolute champ. So it's cool to see him kind of rebound from that and go in this different direction. Really enjoy what they do. Of course, AJ's leg drop is one of the great things to see on an AIW show now. Hopefully he keeps that up. Hopefully he doesn't destroy his butt, because I mean, if Hogan doing that leg drop and he's not even coming off the top rope destroyed him, I mean,
very true.
Worry about that down the road. But I mean, it's awesome to see live. It's almost breathtaking. Unfortunately, Wheeler Yuta and Aeroform had to be on the losing side here, but they still put on a good show overall. It was a really fun 6-man tag. AIW is known for their scrambles. They're known for all these different things, all the hardcore aspects, but even the 6-man tags have become like a really fun thing to see on their shows.
For sure.
4-way tag matches are my favorite, but going back to this match, it was 40 Acres that won via AJ Gray's diving leg drop. I really hope 2020 is a fantastic year for AJ Gray. The dude deserves it, and I think he was starting to pick up a little bit of momentum at the end of this year, and I think it's going to continue. Next up, we have a match that I had been waiting 993 days for. It was Veda Scott returning to AIW versus Alley Cat. This is actually one half of a dream match that I really, really wanted to see. Won't necessarily ever happen. The full version, which would be Veda Scott versus Alley Cat versus Josh Bishop Slutty Cat versus the not around anymore Shotzi Blackheart Pizza Cat. But not saying too much, I have heard a rumor that a Pizza Cat Jr. has the potential to emerge in 2020. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm really hoping that does happen, because that will keep my 4-way cat match intact. But anyway, we had this particular match, Veda Scott versus Alley Cat. And could you say it was a game of cat and mouse? And I didn't mean that as a pun, but that kind of came natural of how it was played out. Thoughts on it, Charlie?
I mean, anytime you get Alley Cat in AIW, it's a blast. And then I might have seen Veda once or twice before. She's always been really great to see. So this match was a lot of fun. That's the first time I ever saw the box spot.
Yeah,
I at least live. I've seen it before, like on shows, but to see it live, it was really funny to see. There were still cat toys being thrown around by the main event, so I mean, there was tons of cat toys. It was a good time. It was a good match. I'd like to see more of both of them in AIW.
I might have came home with some cat toys for Dexter. By might, I mean I did. So he was really happy about that. Pam, what were your thoughts on this match?
I thought it was a really good match. Getting to see two Catwomen together is always a great time. I absolutely adore Allie, so that's always a plus. But getting to see the box spot live, I thought was really cute. I looked up and I saw her and I'm like, oh my god, if I fits, I fits. Like, that was just, it was cutesy and I loved it. But it was great seeing Veda back in AIW. It had been a very long time since we'd seen her there. And it's always nice to have a ladies match on the card, because Lord knows we don't get them too often anymore.
Like I said, 993 days. That's not a number I made up. That was doing...
That's insane. I didn't know if you were making it up or being serious. So.
That is 100% serious. I did the math from her last AIW booking, which was GNO, the final GNO as of right now.
Holy shit.
And to now, or till that Friday, was 993 days. She was a week short of 1,000 days.
I could have swore she had been on a card after that with Greg at one point.
Nope.
Damn.
Because right after that, I seen her at WrestleMania weekend, and I hadn't seen her since. But I know I joked about it like earlier on Twitter. Like last year was the only year I never seen her live, but I still bought like 3 shirts off of her directly. So yeah, I was extremely happy about this. It went exactly kind of how I thought it would go. It was Alley Cat winning via the pile driver, and Alley Cat, I'm much like everybody else. I love her. And also, like I said, seeing Veda back in AIW was great. Hopefully she comes back before 993 days, so we get something maybe later this year, maybe next year. But she is a traveler. I mean, she had 2 days in Cleveland, but then she went down to North Carolina on Sunday. And she's going to be bouncing around this country for a couple weeks, maybe even about a month. But then I know she's going other places. So she keeps really, really busy. So hopefully she comes back. And I'll be happy. Next up, we had Eric Stevens versus Alex Shelley. And Eric Stevens fucking sporting some new gear, I believe. Fucking crazy, crazy ass match. What were your thoughts on this, Charlie?
Man, these two tore the house down, which is exactly what I expected them to do. Eric Stevens just wouldn't stay down at the end, which I thought was a really good sequence there to finish it out. And then after the match, can we talk about that? Can we talk about my boy Lee getting his rematch?
Well, can't we talk about it? And you basically just talk about we'd get to that. Like I'd probably throw it to Pam. What were your thoughts on this match? Okay, blah blah blah. I don't really have anything to add, so I'd be like, okay. And then after the match, and actually, I was gonna fucking turn it to you, but since you just want to fucking blow it, here you go. Here's your time. Go. I'm waiting.
I'm very excited for it.
Lee Martin, yep, come on. What did Lee do? What did Lee do?
He came out, sat next to him, and asked for a rematch. And then he got his rematch.
Wow.
I tell stories, man. I don't make movies. I tell stories.
Do you want to go back to a couple weeks ago, though? Because I thought that is going to be something you were going to add in.
Well, I mean, we could talk about that. Yeah. So at QCW, a local company out my way, I went to that show and was talking with him after the show, and I was telling him how much I really enjoyed his match with Alex Shelley, and I told him, I was like, you're going to get another match with him. I was like, I can feel it. I was like, the way that match went, I was like, it makes sense for you to get a rematch and to have that another time. And I was like, maybe it'll be Mania. I was like, but I just got a feeling you're going to get that. And he's like, I don't know. And yeah, there we go. So I think them two just work so well together. I can't wait for that rematch. It's probably going to blow the other one out of the water.
Anything else to add to that, Charlie? Anything else you want to steal the show?
The Eric Stevens, Alex Shelley match was really, really good. Go out of your way to see it. Get it on Smart Mark on demand when it's available.
I will say this match was better than Pecan Pie because Pecan Pie is trash. Pam, what were your thoughts on this match?
This had my match of the night pretty much lined up until the end of the show. It brought the fucking house down. Like it was an epic match. Those two put on one hell of a show. They could have fought all fucking night and I would have been happy. Like it was a fantastic match. Excuse me. But those two, they really know how to put on a great wrestling match for sure.
Can we talk about the end of the show now? Can we talk about that?
No, we won't talk about the end of the show. We'll talk about it when we get there because that is a very big moment. Yes, it was Alex Shelley who won via the Border City stretch. And yes, it was Lee Moriarty who came out to challenge Alex Shelley to a rematch that I was kind of surprised that he just was like, yeah, I'll give it to you. Because that promo started off like he was going to say no. Next up, we had VSK versus CPA versus Dominic Guarini versus Big Twan. Tucker. Oh, love this match. Love these competitors. Had a fucking blast. What were your thoughts on it, Charlie?
So I always have the bad luck of the draw of getting like annoying people around me. And I had a small child that was very excited that he could just yell like 3 letters at people for the entire match. So I don't remember much of this match at all, actually. I remember Dom doing some cool shit. That's about all I really remember. So, yeah.
I remember CPA dying for this shit. I vividly remember that it was right in front of us. What are your thoughts on it, Pam?
I thought the match was really good. I always like Twan and Dom and CPA in a match. VSK is newer to me, so getting to see him wrestle was pretty cool. But I thought it was a good match. I kind of had to dip out halfway through because my sciatic started killing me. So, like, I was trying to watch bits and pieces, like, through the glass, so I didn't get to see a whole lot, but I know it had to be a great match because those guys know how to put on a very solid match, and Twan with that spear can't beat it.
Unfortunately, though, it was VSK winning via a low blow, and that puts VSK 2-0, at least in singles competition in AIW. So let's see what we get at the end of this month with him. He's got to be coming back. I figured these 2 shows getting wins, is he going to become a regular very soon?
Oh yeah, that's what it seems like.
He's a sneaky little fucker.
I've heard VSK stands for Very Serious Keith, but I don't know if that's a reliable source.
My good friend Danhausen tells me that is true.
And then, is this where we got intermission? Yes, I do believe this is where we got intermission, so we will be right back right after this.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
And coming back from intermission, we got the production versus To Infinity and Beyond. Really love Derek sporting the Cleveland Browns colors for his tights. Fucking awesome. Match exactly is what I thought it would be between these two. Fucking the production has been on the rise for a while. Even like this was a Danhausen-less production. And like I said, even though they're not champions, To Infinity and Beyond is a measuring stick within AIW. And I think they showed it here once again. What were your thoughts on this match, Pam?
Number 1, fuck To Infinity and Beyond. Number 2, Derek's gear was stunning. I absolutely love the new Cardiac Kids-esque gear. But the match itself was very good. Like you said, the tag team of To Infinity and Beyond is a measuring stick in AIW, and Derek and Eddie have been growing together so much over the last years, the production, that they're able to give us these matches with anybody, and they're going to give us a fantastic match. I don't want To Infinity and Beyond to become tag team champions ever again. I'm just going to say that right now, because don't like them. But the production is definitely one of the best teams in AIW right now, and they're going to be a hell of a force coming into the title shot again here in the future.
I think the one thing about To Infinity and Beyond, maybe definitely shouldn't be tag champions, but they are a tag team because they were champions for so long that people instantly hate them. And I think it's going to be a very entertaining match, whoever you put them up against. It might not be talked about in a lot of people's match of the year in AIW, but their feud as a whole with PME was fucking great. And that Absolution match was amazing. I know people out there who don't necessarily like comedy wrestling, have seen PME and other promotions, and they've kind of shit on it and thinking like, I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to their wrestling ability. I'm like, go watch that fucking match, because there might be some comedy spots, but it's those two teams were fucking killing each other. And the story that they told was PME was finally better than To Infinity and Beyond. They could finally outclass them. They could finally beat them at their own game. They could withstand all the bullshit and finally fucking win. That story alone is why they're great. But we're not talking about PME right now. We are talking about To Infinity and Beyond. Charlie, what were your thoughts on the match?
This just goes to show you that how stacked the AIW tag division is. I mean, there's 3 tag matches on this card, and each of them were great in their own way. This match, you could honestly look at this and be like, okay, you could see why either team should pick up the win. It was an excellent match, which doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I mean, Eddie Only has been doing amazing things. I like what Derek Director's been up to. And To Infinity and Beyond doesn't have the belts anymore, but they are still that measuring stick, like you guys said. They've been through everybody. So for the production to pick up a win here was huge, and definitely puts them one step closer to a production versus PME tag team title match.
It was the production winning via flip coast to coast, according to Caden. Next up, we had KTB versus Eddie fucking Kingston. And God, this was another fucking hard-hitting match. Love Eddie Kingston, love KTB. He's from the woods. I'm not sure if you know that. What were your thoughts on this match? Start with Pam.
I missed part of it because of my sciatic again.
Oh, okay.
But I caught the last half, and excuse me, KTB has grown so much over this past year, and for him to have an opponent like Eddie Kingston, it was a great match to actually get to see. Like you said, he's from the woods. Everybody loves him. I'm doing a hand motion as we speak.
You did not bring your foam finger, though, did you?
I didn't, because it's a long story. Sad face. I hope it's not destroyed. But yeah, so, and plus, how can I go against Eddie in this match? Like, it's Eddie. But yeah, they definitely had a fantastic match. I'm glad I got to see at least a piece of it, because Eddie wrestling in general is a treasure, and him versus KTB was definitely a good match for KTB to have.
What were your thoughts on it, Butters?
Would you consider these guys hosses?
Definitely KTB. I kind of want to consider Eddie too.
I have them as like borderlines, what I feel like.
It depends on how much Eddie weighs.
Well, this is Hot Tub Eddie, so I don't know.
Oh, that's another good thing about that venue too. Get hot tubbing.
Yeah, they tore it down. It felt like a hoss battle. Them two going at it. Just some of the sounds and noises that were made in that ring. It was pretty crazy. I really enjoyed it. That's all I got about that. So
it was Eddie Kingston winning via Saito. Next up, we go from the hosses to, what do you want to call these two? Fucking Mance Warner versus Nick fucking Gage.
Deathmatch gods.
Yeah. Deathmatch gods. This was, this is like probably the first match where they started going everywhere. We had a little bit with the four-way before intermission, but this is where it started to go fucking nuts. Fucking love these two. And, God, there was one point after the match where like Nick Gage is right by me, and then he goes to like slap my hand, and my hand's not even fucking out. And I'm like immediately like, well, my hand was out, but it wasn't up, I should say. So immediately I was like, oh, I'm afraid like this motherfucker's gonna like hit me or something. I'm like, hand. Fucking love this match. What were your thoughts on it, Butters?
They used a pack of cigarettes as a weapon during the match, and they announced, smoking's bad for you, and threw the almost full pack of cigarettes out, which was really funny. There's some interesting spots in this match. I won't get too far into them. Check out the Smart Mark video. I'm a shill for them today. But at the end, actually, before he went to slap your hand, there was a small child next to me that insisted he high-fived Nick Gage, and Gage was like swearing, and he's like, "Oh, my bad." Like, it was so funny. It's just so funny. And I was like, "Yeah, Nick Gage is for the children, so."
I mean, I kind of wish he would have hit that kid, but
yeah, me too. I mean, honestly, with any type of weapon, but it is what it is. So.
Well, so we don't sound like total assholes. It was like this little kid who was definitely GA kept coming up into the front row and kind of invading our space. Not like, oh, I'm going to stand at the corner where there's no chairs. It's, oh, this chair's empty. Well, I'm going to move over a little bit. And like, if there would be a direct line on both sides of your chair, like going straight forward to the barricade, he would hug that imaginary line and probably even like kind of like go over it a little bit. And it was kind of like, man, I get it. Like, you like really love this show, but do you know what personal space is? Like, get the fuck away.
Yeah, it was bad. He was all over like my personal space. Like, it was, you could tell children don't have that knowledge of what personal space is, because he was just all over and on his phone and like just it was a lot. But I have the patience of a saint, so we were good.
Pam, what were your thoughts on this match?
It didn't get as crazy as it could have, which probably for the first time it being at that building, that's a good thing. But those two definitely had a great match. It was good seeing them two in the ring together again, and MDK all day. No spoilers. Watch it on Smart Mark.
No spoilers, but I'm about to tell you that Nick Gage won.
I know. You know what I mean.
Via power driver on the ramp. Wait a minute, through a door on the ramp. Official results there from Caden. Next up, we had Matt fucking Justice, the AIW Intense Champion, putting that title on the line versus Zach Thomas. We'll get to the end of the match. Like, that's something we will talk about, but the match as a whole, I kind of felt like, for the most, it was Matt kind of kicking the shit out of Zach Thomas. I don't know if anybody else got that other than me, but that's kind of my thoughts on it. Your thoughts on it, Charlie?
So, this year, Zach Thomas has become a hardcore guy. He has faced Nick Gage. He has gotten into some crazy shit at Wrestle Rager. He's done it all this year. And
is he on a tear?
No, because he usually is on the losing end of these matches. However, he's taken some nasty ass bumps in every single one of these matches and is up and out in the crowd watching the rest of the show not long after. So props to him for being a tough motherfucker. Him and Justice, they tore the house down again. This is where we got into all the craziness. These last matches here was all the fun, crazy goodness. This was, and then the whole
we'll get to it,
which we'll talk about. We'll get to it. I'm not getting into it. We'll get to it because it holds a special place in my heart. So,
Pam, what were your thoughts on the match?
Whenever the show, like before the show started, I was looking around to see what Matt was going to jump off of.
Weren't we all? Weren't we all?
Yep. I was kind of sad it wasn't a thing that happened, but I too felt that Matt pretty much like put a whooping on Zach. Zach has definitely had his share of matches in 2019 where he can prove himself, and this was definitely one of them. He held his own against Matt, and I think this next coming year he's gonna have a year ahead of him. Like, this is gonna be Zach's year. He's gonna get more opportunities and have more chances, and he's gonna be able to show us that he can hold his ground against anybody. Just give him the fucking chance. But it would have been cool to see Matt and him go off of something, though.
So the end of the match. Basically, if I'm correct on part of it, it was Alfonso like pulls his box, gets his box out, and opens it, and inside is a Myles Garrett jersey. Crowd's going fucking nuts. Also in said box is a Steelers helmet. Fonzie kind of surprised me. He put on the jersey. It was Matt who grabbed the helmet, went to into a football stance, and tackled, quarterback sacked Zach Thomas. Quarterback zacked Thomas. And actually, wait a minute. He put the helmet on Zach. Get that right. Did the tackle, did the spear, rips the fucking helmet off of him, fucking knocks him in the head, Myles Garrett style. 1, 2, 3, and that's how Matt Justice retained. If you want to catch a video, it is on the Wrestling Cheers Instagram. I had to take a video of that, but fun story. Couple weeks ago, you and I, Charlie, were on a little road trip, and we had a conversation about the whole Myles Garrett situation because it was right afterwards.
Yeah, we kind of discussed, wouldn't it be funny if Matt Justice had a football helmet and used it in a match on somebody? And I specifically said a Browns helmet with thumbtacks on it, which was backstage. I saw it after the show. So that did exist. Somebody did make that because we did tweet that out. But yeah, great minds think alike because they already had this kind of plan. So props to Matt Justice for that.
What were your thoughts on the whole incident, Pam?
Well, it's funny because I was literally just like in the middle of a tweet and I was like, this match between Zach and Matt has been so fucking good. And then like literally as I'm tweeting it, that whole thing happened. So I pulled up the camera part on the tweet and I took a picture of it and I posted it. But I just thought it was hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, they're actually doing that. I just thought it was funny that it was right as I was tweeting. It was kind of like I was live tweeting the show at that point. It was like, oh no, he's got a Myles Garrett jersey and a helmet.
Next up, we have the AIW Tag Team titles on the line. PME versus Bitcoin Boys. I do love this matchup. I think PME did fantastic, and I think, Bitcoin Boys they're on their way up. Rookie Team of the Year, Tag Team of the Year in AIW, probably hands down. Sorry, bulking season, but numbers don't lie, and like those two have killed it in the very little time they've been together. So it was a great match. What were your thoughts on it, Charlie?
So I kind of left ringside for this match. I needed to get up and stretch my legs and stuff and get away from the small child.
And what else was bothering you?
Oh, my sciatic as well. So, we got that going for us.
Yay! I love being old.
Right? So I went over and I was talking with the Bev for a little bit as we watched the match. And two things really stood out to me. I could watch these two tag teams wrestle several more times, and I hope I get to see them wrestle several more times, preferably in different matches with different rules. Maybe 2 out of 3 falls. And also, Mikey is a hardcore mofo and did the chair spot, bouncing it off the ropes perfectly. Like nobody ever does it anymore. He mastered that rock chair shot off the ropes and hitting himself. It was perfect. Match was awesome. Loved it. Definitely another must-see PME match.
What are your thoughts on it, Pam?
I missed the beginning part of it because I went to the bathroom and like during the theme and the ladies' room had been puked into in the doorway. So they had to close, so I had to go all the way out and stuff. But so by the time I came back, it had already began, and I did not miss that chair spot though. I thought that was pretty cool. But PME is my team in this match. They're definitely excuse me. They're definitely some of the best tag team guys here at AIW. Sorry, I'm having like a huge brain fart. My brain cells don't want to make sentences right now.
I don't even smoke weed, and it happens to be all the time on the show.
Dude, I'm not even high right now. Like, I don't understand what's happening.
I didn't say you're high right now.
I'm just saying in general. But yeah, I'm having a hard time functioning today. It's been a rough one. But yeah, PME is fucking great, and these guys going up against Bitcoin Boys. I was kind of worried because Bitcoin Boys are up and coming, and they've got the Duke with them, and he's a cheating motherfucker. As we found out on Saturday, there was some games happening, but that's a different story for another day. But them two teams going up against each other, I was kind of worried for a second, but PME definitely had what it took against these guys and got that dub.
Yes, it was PME retaining via the Sunset Dreams. Now, the only thing we got left is the main event. Joshua Bishop versus Filthy Tom Lawler for the AIW Absolute Championship. And this has been something that's building since the end of Absolution. And now, the time had finally come. Would Joshua Bishop become the AIW Absolute Champion? The match was fucking nuts. It was very high level Josh Bishop. I don't want to say the highest, because the highest is when he falls off stuff and he does absolute crazy shit. But I think it was still relatively up there. Such a fucking awesome match. And then also too, like, Wes was kicked out for what was supposed to be the whole match, ended up coming out towards the end and somewhat affecting things. But all in all, before we get into like a lot of the finish and everything, I love this match. And I think if you're going to have a match, main event, Hell on Earth, like, this is it. The main event to my first Hell on Earth was Madman Pondo versus Masada. So normally you need to have a little bit of carnage. You need to have a real fucked up match at the end. This kind of was it. What were your thoughts on it, Charlie?
So if you remember at the end of Absolution, Joey Janela's music hits and somebody comes out on the stage with their back turned, and we think, oh, maybe he's going to cash in, and Josh Bishop attacks from behind. Well, Filthy Tom didn't forget that, because we got a little fake out of Filthy Tom on the stage with his back turned, and he came up next to me. He assaulted the small child that was next to me. So thank you for that. Got into the ring and attacked them from behind. So I thought that was really fitting that they made some of that stuff into the molded it into the match. The match itself, like you said, was crazy. It was a war. Some fans were getting rowdy and getting into it. It was good stuff.
Oh, I forgot about the one. Listen,
Fans?
there was some fans in the corner, same side that we were on, but closer to the entrance ramp. Maybe I'm not the one that should be giving this speech, because I used to do this back in the Turtles All days with one Tim Donst, but I grew up. So you're speaking to somebody who's been there, done that. Stop trying to put yourself fucking over. Don't try to start a fight with the wrestlers, especially ones named Filthy Tom Lawler.
Of all the people to start a fight with, why would you pick one that's a legitimate badass that actually fucking, has beaten the shit out of people? Like, why? What in people's mind makes them think, oh, this is going to be a good idea? This guy's a killing machine. Let's just poke at him. Like,
People are dumb.
duh. Ugh.
And he kind of got a shut the fuck up chant. So please, don't be that fan. Don't be that guy. Coming from a guy who was sent messages from Chandler Biggins of stuff that were posted on message board of people talking shit about me for trying to put myself over. And that's when I kind of got in grasp of, like, yeah, what you're doing is going to be on the internet. People are going to get it, whether it's going to be DVD, Blu-ray, or MP4, and they won't know you. And they're going to think you're a fucking idiot. Don't be that guy. Anyway. Yes, I want to know who the fake Filthy was.
I tried to figure it out, and I could not figure it out.
A slight peek behind the curtain when I was at Good Company the next day. Dustin Alberti was there along with Mikey Millennial, and I kind of asked him, I'm like, who the fuck was the other guy? And Dustin was at the merch stand when that happened, and so was Mikey at his merch table. they had no idea who the fuck it was. So, I know it's not them. So I need to know who the fuck fake Filthy was. Because we know who fake Joey was. That was Wes. This is what I was hoping. As weird as it sounds, I was hoping like that was Nick Gage. And that was like going to be his payback. But the dude who was fake Filthy was up there a really long time.
Yeah, until they cut the music off. One of the other fans that takes photos said they knew who it was because they were talking about it at UXWA, and I can't remember who they said it was.
No idea. But anyway, maybe it was Joey Janela. Maybe he flew in to do this one spot. He can't be on TV, so he just comes up to his back. Okay, I don't really think it's that. But, winner of the match. We didn't get to Pam. Did we get to Pam?
Yeah. No, we got to talk to Pam.
Okay, talk to Pam. Pam, what were your thoughts on the match?
So, the fake out was amazing. Tom pretty much almost ran into me as he was cutting through the crowd. Match was great. Lots of good spots. Especially what we're about to talk about right now, and we'll just get into that.
All right. Sorry for skipping over you. I was really excited for this.
No, it's totally cool because this part is way cooler than anything that I have to say. So,
your winner and new AIW Absolute Champion, Joshua fucking Bishop. If I'm correct, he is the first student from the AIW school to become champion. I think his rise to that championship also very quick for holding the Intense title earlier this year. Just fucking madness from the dude. Mad props to him and winning it. It was fucking awesome. But unfortunately for young Josh Bishop, Filthy Tom was pissed. And not only did he beat the shit out of him, but he beat the shit out of Wes. So he walks to the back. That's the end of the night. So any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we... because that was not it. People left early. I'm going to say this, and this is what I was thinking in the moment. The show isn't over until you hear Steve Guy get on the mic and tell you, make sure to see us at the after party and come to the next show. And as soon as you start to see them like taking down the ring too, like it's definitely fucking over. This match and Filthy Tom going to the back, we did not hear that. There was this really weird, strange silence. Normally, knowing the pattern of things going AIW, I was waiting for it.
I was already almost out the door. Thank you to Mr. Dustin there for being a pal, telling me to hang back. But I was ready to go since I was parked all the way at the end of the parking lot.
But all of a sudden, Pantera hits. Out comes Fonzie, comes out with a piece of paper and saying that Matt Justice won the J-Lit tournament and he gets a championship title match whenever he wants, and he is cashing in now. Out comes fucking Matt Justice, and he fucking does it. Fucking Matt Justice is your AIW Absolute and the Intense champion, the first dual champion in AIW history. And before we get into what Charlie thinks and what Pam thinks, this has been something that's been talked about off mic on this podcast, which is weird to say because if we're off mic, we're not on the podcast. But anyway, when we've had these recordings, if you go back to, I think it's the review for Absolution, or maybe it's the review for Wrestle Rager, something's kind of talked about without fully mentioning of what we think's going to happen, but we're going to wait. When we stopped recording, we talked about it. And what we thought, what was going to happen, it was this. It was Filthy Tom Lawler losing to Joshua Bishop. And then you have Matt Justice come out and cash in. Maybe a rematch next month? So we end the year with pretty much the feud of the year in AIW, but that aside, this is what we thought was going to happen. So I was waiting. If it didn't happen at this show, I figured Matt was going to cash in and announce at WrestleMania because people in AIW have told me before that the faces cash in by announcing it, the heels just fucking cash in. So that goes against that logic. And I never fucking believed that they would be stuck to that T. I knew it had to happen. So if it didn't happen here, it was then. So I remember looking over at Charly, and I'm like, if Steve Guy doesn't say shit, we're not fucking leaving. Or something along those lines. I'm like, I'm waiting for that. Music hit. We went fucking nuts. I'm so pumped that this fucking happened. Beyond words. Was it predictable? A little bit. Was it the right thing? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because it made a moment. What were your thoughts on the cash-in? Start with Pam.
So, like I said, almost missed it, but...
Like the Goldsteins. The Goldsteins fucking left and missed it. Sorry, guys.
So sad. I can't believe it. But, like, getting to see it happen was fucking epic. Old Matty 2 belts. Just, taking over AIW, man. Watch out.
Watch out, PME. He's gonna become his own tag team.
Yeah, I was gonna say the next tag team champion matchup.
Can we see that happen? So he just looks at the camera and goes, Shayna, I'm coming for you.
I was gonna say that. Oh my god, yes.
What were your thoughts on the cash-in, Charly?
I mean, like you said, it's been talked about. I kind of felt like it was either going to be as soon as it happened with Bishop winning and then it being cashed in, or I felt like they could play the long con on it and kind of wait till Mania weekend. I'm glad I got to be here live to see it, though, because as cool as it would have been on Mania weekend, it was still better that I got to see it live. It's always better to see it live, so I was real happy. And you and I and Amanda all got our pictures with them after, too, so...
I got to tell him that, it's something that we had been talking about, complimented him on the Myles Garrett thing, because that's something you and I had talked about, and Amanda said he looked like Jason Momoa, and he seemed to really like that compliment. All in all, fucking great show. What were your guys' thoughts on the whole show, Hell on Earth 15? Start with Charly.
When it comes to AIW, I expect one thing, and that's to get my money's worth. They've never let me down. They're that Cleveland sport that doesn't disappoint. 110%. They always put on a hell of a show. It's always worth my money. I don't think I've ever left disappointed, and they continue that trend with this show. And I'll be back in December.
How about you, Pam?
Show was great. I can never say anything bad about an AIW show. Like, it's like pizza. You can never have bad pizza.
Have you had Chuck E. Cheese pizza? Because that's about as worse as it gets.
Oh, that's very true. But, yeah, the show was great. Always a good time at AIW, and I can't wait for the next one. And the one after that, and the one after that. Continue my streak.
Yeah, fucking, I love this show. Hell on Earth was I've mentioned a few times on this podcast that it was my first show, so I always come to this as this is my beginning of a new year for me in AIW of whatever year. I think this is my going into my 8th year now. Fucking
nice.
Love the progress that AIW has done. I can't remember whether I've said on this show or not. I know we were talking about beforehand, but I recently kind of threw in Hell on Earth 7, and I looked at the crowd and I was just like, wow, that is a minor fraction of what we get now, and especially what we got on this show. Like we said, the venue was great, the card was great, the ending was phenomenal. I had a pretty awesome time. So, that's pretty much it. Any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go? Start with Pam.
I'm on the tweets. You guys can find me on there at Pamela Nicole. It's Pamela with 2 A's at the end, _NICOLEE. Follow me for funny tweets about things and the wrestles. Same name on Instagram as well.
How about you, Charly Butters?
Charly _Butters on the Twitter machine. You can also check out my podcast, Not Ready for Primetime Wrestling. We're doing a Bizarro Lucha review this Sunday. Currently, we have up a WCW Saturday night show that we did a watch along to. which has some funny stuff in it. And you can follow them on Twitter at NotReady4PTW. And yeah, that's about it for me.
And of course, you can find myself at Heavyset330 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, much like you can find this show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose, at DesireWrestlingCheers@gmail.com. Once again, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Check out our friends on the Trending Topics Network, such as All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, Old School at the Movies, and Wrestling with Altitude. Check out our other podcast friends, such as Let the Hate Flow Through You, Pod Van Dam, Super Fantastic Podcast, Road Home from Wrestling, Haunted Home Video, The IndieCast, Center of the Universe, Sobros Network, UXWA Today, Big Gold Belt Podcast, The Co-Host Wrestling Show, Spotlight Series, I Got Your 5 Stars, Not Ready for Primetime Wrestling, and It's Evolution, baby. Check out our other non-podcast friends, such as Thrift Store Jobber, The Savage Dash, PowerSlam.tv, use Wrestling Cheers, all one word, and get your first month free, Mouse's Wrestling Adventure, Sickening Pictures, Good Company, Stay Tough, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, Wrestle Void, Midwest Territory, Southern Underground Pro, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when you are a lifer. Later.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Would you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You're why you can see rules are all the same.